If you were to talk to young artists starting out now, making mixtapes now in 2025, what would you say to them?
I would say to stay consistent, um, learn your audience, and trust your vision.
Hey man, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm well. Thanks a lot for being here and congrats on the new record.
Thank you for having me and appreciate that.
You know, it's a really different time than since that first mixtape came out. And doing research for this interview, it's things have changed so much, not just in your life, but in sort of the industry as well. One thing you learn about when you read about Kush and Orange Juice, the first one, it came out very independently, not on a major, picked up, by rap blogs, really picked up by social media, was trending #1 on Twitter. That kind of grassroots buzz is sort of hard to build in 2025. What do you remember about the buzz of putting that mixtape out 15 years ago?
I remember being really engaged with my fans and like you said, like crashing the internet and trending on Twitter and things like that. Um, Twitter was like a subculture, and we were growing up in the blog era where none of this was mainstream, but it was competing directly with the mainstream. And social media was a source of, if whatever's going on to people in whatever the real world is, you can get it on social media faster, and it almost felt realer. So, I capitalized off of that just by being in touch with my fans and being able to create this excitement around the music, me, my brand, and the lifestyle.
That's a beautiful thing. I want to come back to the new record in just a bit. I want to talk a little bit about how this all started for you. I know I speak to a lot of artists who moved around a lot because their parents were in the military. I talked to a lot of artists who were like army brats. This is also in some ways the story for you. You moved around a lot to Germany, Japan, the UK. You finally landed in Pittsburgh. What do you remember about finally stopping all that moving and landing somewhere for good, and it's Pittsburgh?
It felt good to have familiarity, and all my family is around me at the time. And it's just a good home base. Whereas everywhere else always felt temporary. And I started, going living in Pittsburgh, starting since I was 2, but I would leave and then go back. So when I was there permanently, it felt like home, and it felt like, I had connected with my surroundings way more than I would anywhere else.
What's the hardest part about having to leave all the time and having to move and change schools and all that stuff?
I think the hardest part is just making new friends all the time. Um, and just constantly being the new kid. Cause it's like, you're just looked at and everybody is like, who's the new kid? Blah, blah, blah. So just that anxiety is a little bit rough as a kid.
Does it help you with a career in music in some ways? Having to travel a lot, having to reintroduce yourself a lot? Like, do you think you learned anything having to move around so much that might have helped you when you decided to become a musician?
In theory, that would work. But realistically, like there's some people who move around a lot and they're still like anxious meeting new people and reintroducing themselves. I think I naturally am a performer and somebody who doesn't mind attention, and also like being an artist. I love my art, so having the opportunity to take that everywhere with me, that makes it less of a job when I have to travel and reintroduce myself.
What were the records that you were listening to that made you go, okay, I want to do that?
A lot of Nas, like his early work, like Illmatic, Wu Tang. I was a big Wu Tang fan at the time. This is when LimeWire was really popular, like right after
Yeah.
Napster.
Yeah. I remember LimeWire.
So yeah, I would download like a lot of Diplomats and Cameron freestyles and a lot of just, hardcore like East Coast rap music. I was really big into like Talib Kweli and Mobb Deep. That was a lot of the stuff that I would listen to that really made me want to become a rapper.
So you were listening to that going, this is what I want to do. I want to have that kind of life.
It wasn't even about the lifestyle. It was just more about expressing myself through music and what I thought was tight. And the lyrics and the beats and just how things were described at that time. I wanted to be able to express myself that way.
You end up becoming part of the the Pittsburgh hip hop studio scene. You start meeting producers, becoming part of the emerging Pittsburgh sound. This guy Edan becomes a really big part of it. Ends up working with Mac Miller too. You start working at his studio and recording there. Is that right?
Yeah.
What kind of work were you doing there?
I was like a intern type, like a runner. So I was cleaning up, answering phones, going to the store, getting supplies, opening up and locking up, things like that.
You were able to do that, and then they would give you studio time because you were working there?
Yeah, I did it in return for studio time. So I would work certain hours during the day. And basically, anytime I wanted to record, if they didn't have sessions, I was able to use their time, their beats, and their equipment.
Who was the first person to tell you that you had some ability here? Who was the first person to say, like, I think you might be good, you might be able to do this?
That was definitely E Dan.
Tell me, what do you remember?
I remember one day I came home from school, and this was after me going to the studio and paying for studio time and doing my own session. And I think I went to ID Labs maybe twice. After my second time, I came home from school and I got a call. This before, I don't know if I had a cell phone at the time. You might have called my house phone. And yeah, he called my house phone because my mom picked up and she told me that E Dan was on the phone, that he wanted to talk to me. So I'm talking to E, and he just basically described that, well, basically told me that he was really shocked by how good I was and how efficient I was and how clear I was, and just that he had never really seen too many rappers come through his studio and do what I did. And then let alone at my age, I was 16 at the time. So he really just let me know like I was a standout artist and that he would love to just work with me on a personal level. No strings attached, um no contracts, no exclusivity, but he was just expressing interest in working with me and helping me to further my skills based off of what he already seen that I had.
Did you have that drive then at 16? That drive you were telling me about, like when I asked you what it was like when Kush Orange Juice blew up, you were like, I was already. It was all going according to plan. When you were 16, and he said that to you, did you already have this drive in you to say, "Hey, I'm gonna do this. This is gonna get big"?
I was really just learning at that time. Like I knew I was good. I didn't know I was like a standout artist or like better than anybody, who I come in the studio. But I was just doing what I was doing to the best of my ability and what I felt like the standard was. And I think just holding myself to this high standard, it kind of surpassed where everybody else was at or where they were holding themselves. So, that gave me confidence in my taste level and let me know that the things that I do enjoy and that I aspire to be are at this high level that other people are going to appreciate.
Well, let's skip ahead a little bit. So, you get signed to a major label. You leave that label before you put out your debut. You put out a bunch of records. You put out a bunch of mixtapes. And Kush and Orange Juice comes out, and it goes kind of crazy. Take a listen to this.
Yeah. I don't love them, I don't chase them, I duck them. Try to get paper out of fucker, don't know shit about her. I take you up where it's cloudy. And one of them lames still rockin' Prada. I go to Louis and blow a couple thousand. One of my best.
That's a little bit of Mesmerized from Kush and Orange Juice. So where does your head go when I play you that song? What goes through your head when you hear that?
Think about my yellow Challenger.
Tell me.
Yeah, I did the video for that like right after I got the yellow Challenger, and that was kind of like the standout moment.
What changes after a mixtape blows up like that?
Yeah, people start hitting you up and they start offering you things and shit like that. But by that point, Like you said, I had done so much for myself. I really wasn't looking for validation from anybody else.
In my sort of movie version of this, the mixtape comes out, your heroes start calling you, and you're thinking to yourself, "Oh wow, this is a dream. I can really do this. These people, these doors are all opening to me now." But what you're saying
No,
is,
it's all about my fans, and my fans is happy,
yeah,
and I'm running with them. I don't really care about like the outside noise. I'm declining more stuff than anything at this point because nobody really seen it coming. So now that it's happening, of course you want to be a part of it or acknowledge it. And I'm cool with people acknowledging it, but as a self, you know, promoting act, I really don't need anybody else's cosign or validation or any of that. So anybody who want to come check me out at that point, you got to see me on a fan level. It's like I went from being a fan of people to them being a fan of me. So I want them to appreciate that. And, people will always come and try to like little bro you or attach themselves to your success. And I didn't allow that to happen from anybody. I took it and I owned it. And it was for me and my fans.
where does that come from? That's rare, man. Like, where does that come from to know that right there?
Just having the confidence to like say no. And I mean, like, I'm not flattered by like celebrities or like artists or anything like that. I'm into real life. And the realest thing ever is my fans and the connection with them. And I'm on the road. I'm on the internet every day. Nobody is, putting this together for me. So nobody can pull the rug from underneath me if I tell them no.
That's beautiful, man. But
You know?
that's a rare thing. Most people would be sort of flattered by that and get kind of lost in the limelight of it, and then would realize I don't need it. But it sounds
Nah.
like you kind of had it right away.
Yep.
Well, then it only gets bigger. I'll skip ahead a little bit, but let's play one of the big tunes.
Yeah, you know what it is. Everything I do it big. Yeah, screaming that's nothing. When I pulled off the lot, that's nothing. Reppin' my town, when you see me, you know everything. Black and yellow, black and yellow.
That's Wiz Khalifa and Black and Yellow. So let's talk about the fans. The fans only get bigger at that point. That song takes off and becomes a worldwide hit. When did you know that Black and Yellow had become a different kind of track, maybe had gotten a whole new audience? Was it radio? Was it a football? What were the signs that this was getting bigger?
It was definitely the football season that took it over the top. I think being aligned with the Steelers winning so much and then going to the Super Bowl that year, it gave that song, a lot of purpose and something that's bigger than what I could have done on my own or just me and the fan base that I had accumulated. Um, but through being the people's champ and through people understanding me, my brand, and my lifestyle, I was able to translate and go further than just being a radio hit.
Yeah.
But it became more of an iconic and stylistic moment in just music and culture. And that definitely had to do with all the work that I had already put in to help you understand my story and to, recognize what I had been through and where I was going. And then to the new people, they had stuff to catch up on. So it gave them things to figure out later and, understand why everybody else was so into me at the time. And it being my first number one and radio hit, that just shows like how much work beyond the music that I put in as far as promo and as far as DJs and as far as relationships. These are things that, if you're just an artist, you're going to miss out on and you're not going to think is important. But I learned a lot of those in the early stages of my career before I did mixtapes. And I was able to apply that when it came time to do Black and Yellow. So after a whole year of us trying to figure out what the album would look like, it just paved its own way. And Black and Yellow was right at the forefront of that.
Was it exciting?
Yeah, it was very exciting.
Yeah, like I hear the plan coming into execution and the outside noise that you managed to tune out and the skills that you had built in business up to that point, the skills that you had built in promo, the skills that you had used to make that moment happen. But I also just kind of want to hear I bet it was really exciting to have a really big hit song.
Yeah, I don't trip off of that though. Like that's not
Yeah,
what it's about.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not what it's about. It's,
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes it's just your time, like, you know what I'm saying? And that was just my time. I put in a lot of work. If I didn't put in the work, it wouldn't be my time. And there was a lot of people who may or may not believed in it, but I always stayed confident. And that's why none of this stuff really takes me by surprise or any of that. It might surprise other people, but I work so hard and I really focus on elevating the taste level around me. So if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it all the way. And when I did Black and Yellow was when I first signed to Atlantic. So I had done everything that I could on my own through social media. But if you take a major label and you magnify that and amplify it, everybody wins. So it's not like a surprise. It's like a I told you so.
Let's listen to this next song, the second most viewed YouTube music video of all time.
Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again. Damn, who knew? All the planes we flew, good things we've been through. That I'll be standing right here talking to you about another path. I know we love to hit the road and laugh, but something told me that it wouldn't last. Had to switch up, look at things different, see the bigger picture. Those were the days, hard work forever pays. Now I see you in a better place.
Wiz Khalifa featuring Charlie Puth. Their song "See You Again" has been viewed as of this recording. We just checked 6.6 billion times. And I promise I'm not going to ask you, is that exciting for you? Or I'm not going to ask you what goes through your head when you hear that. I'll say this, Wiz. To me, that's pretty incredible. Like 6.6 billion times, the second most viewed, video on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to me. Maybe I'll ask why. Why do you think that song, why do you think that video connected with so many people?
Unfortunately, a lot of people deal with a lot of loss. That's something that we can't get away from in this life. Is we're gonna lose something. We're gonna lose a pet. We're gonna lose a family member. We're gonna lose a fingernail. Something's going. You're gonna lose something. So I think that song helps people cope with their losses. And being that we wrote it for Fast and Furious and to honor Paul Walker and his legacy, I think it just translated past his story and helped people connect with their own situations and get through.
What do you remember about that song? Sort of the origins of that song. What do you remember about sort of the sort of percolating of that song?
That's one that I didn't expect to go as crazy as it did because of how personal it was. And it wasn't my creation, so I had no control over that one. I just literally played my part. And my part was to at first was just to write a small section of the song, and there was going to be a lot of different other artists on there. But as the process went on, more artists started getting shaved off, and my part became longer and longer and longer until finally they just were like, we're only going to use you on the song. And at that time, I wasn't looking at it as, oh, well, I'm the only person who could do this song any justice. I was like, okay, cool. If you guys want me on there, I'm gonna do my part. I'm gonna put everything that I have into it, and hopefully we land somewhere. And there was just a little bit of tweaking, like back and forth, to make sure that it lined up with the movie as far as like time wise of where I said certain things. But they gave me a lot of freedom to just kind of just match it up and go. And by the end of it, I was really happy with the song. I love the song, and they were completely satisfied with it. And we shot the video, and then I think after the first week that it came out, it was just one of the like it was just projected to be one of the biggest songs ever, and it just kept climbing, 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 and then it went to number one, and it stayed at number one for I think 13 weeks, which is of course my longest number one, but it also makes like Billboard history as top 20 longest runs on Billboard history. So that's way out of what I ever would have expected for any one of my songs or even a song that I would be a part of.
Yeah, if I'm understanding you correctly, like one thing we've been talking about is you work and you work and you work, so these things don't catch you off guard. You work and you work and you work and you work. This is all part of the plan. But even then, when a song like that takes off, there is still a moment of like, oh wow, this is really blown up.
Yeah, that's a surprise because artists wish they had a song that impactful and that successful and that lasts like that and that makes people cry and that will be here forever. And I'm blessed to have one of those records, and I feel really grateful and appreciative for that. And that's one that I couldn't have done on my own.
What's something that someone has said to you about that song? Has anyone ever come up to you and talked to you? You don't have to get into specifics, but has anyone come up and said to you that that song helped them through a hard time in their own life?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. People cry every time I perform it. That's the biggest thing is like you could just see it all over somebody or people who come to you later after I perform and they're like, man, that song really got me through this or at the shows. Yeah, it's just a big one.
You pivoted to, I mean, you starred in the 2012 film Mac and Devin Go to High School, stoner comedy with Snoop Dogg, and my guest here was Khalifa. You played George Clinton, a Parliament Funkadelic, in the movie Spinning Gold. What do you get from acting that you don't get from rapping?
I think acting is just an extension because it's art as well. So me being an artist, I just love to extend myself and lend myself in any way that I can. And I feel everything that I do, I have room to grow and room to learn. And that's really what I feel about acting is just I'm excited to grow more and to learn more and to see myself get better and better and just more experienced.
The Snoop Dogg I mentioned there is a guy you often you go compared to. People throw you and him in the same world. Rap icon, of course, and your buddy. Can you give me an example of something or maybe the most important thing you've learned about this business from Snoop?
I learned about staying active from Snoop, and he's got everything that anybody could, wish for when it comes to, legacy and respect and all of that. And he still gets up every day and he works and he creates and he travels and he extends himself and he makes other people's lives better. And that's what I really learned and picked up from him is that never stops.
What I'm hearing throughout this conversation is that you've been living by a path. You've been living by a moral. You've been living by an ethic when it comes to how to operate in this business. If you were to talk to young artists starting out now, making mixtapes now in 2025, what would you say to them?
I would say to stay consistent, um, learn your audience and trust your vision. And yeah, that's the main thing. Everything else comes from time and experience. So you got to stay down to come up. And a lot of the things that are going to keep you around later are the things that you're doing now, the things that you start early with, and the stuff that people don't see. So, yeah, just watch where you place your values and really set yourself up to win in the long run.
Last question on Kush Orange Juice 2. You said that the sequel needs to have something player, something for the ladies, something motivational, something to smoke to. Is there a song in this record that encapsulates all of that? Is there a song that you're the happiest with?
It's all of them. They all have great subject matter, and that's what when I talked to one of my partners, he was like, man, I like the topics that you chose to talk about on each one. They all have a little bit of that, some to ride around to. There's a song specifically to ride around to. There's a song specifically for the ladies. There's a song specifically to motivate you. There's a song specifically that's really, really real. There's a song specifically to smoke to. So, yeah, it's every last one of those things in each experience. And one day you might be feeling like one, and the other day you might be feeling like another. But it rides together really consecutively and just creates this whole big ass experience.
Which is a gift, as you were talking at the beginning, which is a gift to the fans, really.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they want. That's what they deserve. And when you put on Wiz Khalifa, that's what you expect.
Man, listen, I'll tell you this. First off, thanks for your time. But like, I love anyone who sort of demystifies this business. I love anyone who says, who kind of takes the lightning bolt out of it and says, you work really hard and keep your head down and ignore all the validation, and you can do some pretty amazing, and be kind to people, and you can do some pretty amazing things.
Boom. And that's it right there.
Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing that story today.
Thank you. I appreciate you for having me. Thank you for taking your time.